So the Electric State, it came out this Friday, March 14th, 2025. And I feel like people have been doubling down on the hate about it, but I'm not understanding it. But just be patient with the process as I go through this, right? So this is a quick synopsis set in the early 1990s after humanity fought a giant branded robot for supremacy. Netflix, wildly expensive. That's what they kept on talking about, the expense in the budget. I'm going to go into that later. The Electric State, directed by the Russo brothers, should be fun and silly. Instead is turgid. I believe that's what the word is. I don't know. And lifeless. Okay. That's their opinion, not mine. Even on Rotten Tomatoes, I checked this out on March 15th. They gave it a 17%. It may be higher or lower now, but I digress. But I feel like we should form our own opinions because look at the rest of, and I'm not coming down on Rotten Tomatoes, but look at the rest of the movies that Rotten Tomatoes basically said these things about. We have Brother Bear with 37%. I also think Hocus Pocus had 37% as well, and those are masterpieces. Confessions of a Teenage Drama Queen, are you shitting me? A masterpiece. And again, you may not feel this way because again, movies are subjective. It's art. You know what I'm saying? People are able to perceive it their own way. But this is my opinion, right? So Dr. Seuss, Zillennials, Millennials, and Gen Z love this movie. Okay. So 10% on Rotten Tomatoes, crazy. The Haunted Mansion at 14% actually just threw me for a loop because people were actually protesting the new one that came out like 2-3 years ago. They were like, it will never be this classic. It comes on every single year on Halloween at ABC. Blah, 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 blah. So 14% is crazy to me. And this almost made me pass out, okay? This made me almost pass out, go to heaven, high five Jesus, and come back down because 29% for Hook featuring Robin Williams is nuts. But I've had this conversation with you guys before. If we're on TikTok, but I'm also going to post this on YouTube. I've had this conversation with you guys before. I feel as lately people can't review movies without making rage bait, particularly on TikTok and unfortunately sometimes on YouTube as well. All of it is just reviews versus the love of media, and feel free to have your own mind so you can formulate your own opinion and don't miss out on movies you can possibly relate to and enjoy. Now back to the movie, okay? The Electric State is a fun sci-fi movie full of action, adventure, and comedy. I laughed from the beginning to the end, and it also had great talking points about grief, and I thought some of the emotional moments worked well, Although the writing is iffy, I thought the acting was phenomenal, and the cast did a really great job of telling the story. I also liked the design of the robots. I felt like really nostalgic looking at some of them. So on Saturday, and I was going to do a long form of this video, but I decided to just put it on TikTok. But when I do put this on YouTube, there is an article on Deadline, and it tells you all the music that was in the movie because the movie was based in the 1990s. However, the movie had a lot of good 80s jams and just jams in general. The soundtrack was lit. And I expect that from Chris Pratt, even though me and Chris Pratt, I don't like Chris Pratt. But he's always in movies with good soundtracks, just like Adam Sandler. So you could find that. If you're on TikTok watching this, you could find that on deadline.com and just put in the Electric State soundtrack and the article will pop up. And if it's on YouTube, I'm just going to put it in the comments. Now, here are my quick cons for the Electric State. So the Electric State was mostly fun, though it felt like it should have been a miniseries rather than a film to me personally, right? Just so it could have had some extra time to put a tad more detail for the characters. However, I did enjoy the movie. And if they wanted to make a second one or a miniseries, I would be, why did I sound so West Indian? Miniseries, sorry, a miniseries, I would definitely be okay with that. It's definitely a family night vibe. It wasn't too gory or anything like that. 12 and up possibly. Again, you know what your children could watch. I don't dictate that. I'm just a girl that talks about movies online. And when the hate came in, a lot of times the talking points was about the budget. And I'm just like, not trying to be rude or anything, but did you pay for this movie? Like, and some people, they're going to get smart. I already see it, right? I see the future, like Raven Baxter, right? They're like, well, with my subscription, I do pay it. Then unsubscribe to Netflix if you really feel that deep about it, since you're up in arms about it, about capitalism. So if you're really that up in arms, you wouldn't even have a subscription. Okay? If you feel that strongly about it, I'm just so sorry, but it's the truth. I also feel, and this was also other talking points from what I saw on like Twitter and all those places, was this movie was about community, and through the differences in the case of robots and humans, they came together to build a community and have empathy for one another to recover from losses. And people didn't like that, but we know why. Someone called it woke, and nowadays when I see woke, even though the word was used originally to tell people, specifically Black people, in the space to say enlighten and allies alike, now it's used for a negative connotation, which I feel like, okay, I know who you are. Anyways, when I see it used that way, I already know you already lack depth, so I can't even see your perspective and you can't see anybody else's perspective. So anyways, I feel like Electric State was excellent. 8 out of 10. Of course, nothing is perfect, but it was decent. Let me know your thoughts. Bye.